That Don't Sound Right is a podcast about talking the way we did before the internet, when you could not prove anyone right or wrong.
All the expertise was contained in the people involved with the conversation. I'm Peter.
I'm Cecil, and I hope you enjoy our conversations. And as you listen, if you find yourself silently saying, that don't sound right, send us a comment. You're one of us.
So when the Hornets dropped, what happened?
He ran.
You were
Ran.
running.
Yeah. I was already back to the other end of the house.
Okay.
Because Hornets are hunters.
Welcome back to another episode of That Don't Sound Right, podcast about talking. We're your co-hosts. I'm Peter Billman.
I'm Cecil Davis.
And we're just trying to have a conversation without killing the conversation by Googling it, fact-checking it. We're just seeing what we know and see if we can surprise the other person. And maybe we'll surprise you. But to keep the surprises to a minimum, we're going to have our resident fact-checker who encouraged us to do this podcast from the very beginning. Listener number one, Scott, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Glad to be back.
Hey.
You know that Peter enjoys saying welcome to the show.
He's good at it.
He's
good at it.
It's one of my natural.
So it's simple. We're just talking. This time we're going to be talking about Haint Blue.
Haint?
Haint Blue. Do you know what this is?
Not
No.
a clue.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Haint. Haint. Haint.
Is that like a ghost?
Blue.
Huh?
All right. It's a color.
Haint Blue.
It's a shade of blue.
Okay.
And yes, haint is kind of a derivation of the word haunt. Mm-hmm. All right. And it's named after this color that a certain group of folks in South Carolina, in Georgia, believed you should paint the ceiling of your porches
I've heard
blue.
of this.
Now I've heard about
Yes,
that.
you have.
Haint Blue.
Yeah. I've heard, but keep going.
Yeah. But have you seen these blue porches that I speak of?
I've seen photos. I don't think I've ever seen one in person, to my knowledge.
So if you're ever down in, a lot of these older communities in around Atlanta, or at Savannah and Charleston, and then also in Louisiana, if you look at these old houses, they've all painted their ceilings Haint Blue.
The ceiling of the rooms or just the porch?
the
The porch.
What's the significance of just the porch? I guess it's Haint's
That's
got to
where
come
the
in.
Haint would come in, I guess.
Yeah.
The idea is that the belief is that you paint it sky blue, and the ghosts are fooled into thinking it's water or the sky, and they just float out and go out to it instead of chasing you, because the belief is that these haints, these ghosts, are intended on just chasing you until you are exhausted and die.
Really?
Huh.
That's what a ghost does?
That's what these
So
particular
is it
ghosts
keeping the ghost out or luring them out after they're already in?
luring them out. So they don't stick around.
Would not the sky do the same thing?
Not when you have all these trees, or you think about the live oaks with the moss hanging down in these southern towns. You're not seeing any sky. You're in the woods.
I think there's a modern correlation to this, actually. And
What's
it's
that?
because of something we were just talking about. We were talking about in the studio before we went live about Las Vegas.
Right.
And they paint, there's a lot of casinos that are painted.
There you go.
They paint the sky on the inside.
Yeah.
Not for ghosts, but for to give you the feeling of being outside.
And also just to completely disorient you from knowing what time it is.
Yeah, I think
that's what they want you. They don't want you to know what time it is.
Because I was in the one with the Eiffel Tower. Was that Paris?
Paris.
Yeah.
Paris. That's a good name for it.
Well, I can't remember if it was called the Parisian. I was getting it mixed up with the
right.
Venetian.
Venetian.
Yeah, so there's the
That's right.
Venetian, then there's Paris. And they have that long hallway that's painted like the sky. And I was walking down that hallway there was a conference, and someone said, I haven't been outside in 3 days. So what made you talk about Haint Blue?
Well, I've painted my porch.
Haint Blue?
Haint Blue.
Did you
I
really?
painted the ceiling. And I painted my sunroom.
Is it still called
a
that?
slightly different shade of blue, but it's blue nonetheless.
And this was out of superstition?
No, I do like I do like the look of it.
Okay.
I like the idea of having this sky blue, but there's a secondary reason I did it, and there's a secondary reason people continue to do it today, that there is a belief that this particular blue, or any kind of blue...
Let me guess.
Yeah.
Discourages mosquitoes?
No, well, close. Spiders and wasps.
Ah.
Won't
For the
build
same
them?
reason?
They won't build a nest in your porch. They won't spin webs in your porch.
Because they think it's the sky?
That is the belief.
Huh.
And I can only tell you that ever since I've done this, I haven't had a wasp nest, and I don't see any spiders in the ceiling of my porch.
Wow.
And this is an outside porch.
Yeah.
You know, if there's screens.
Right.
There are spiders in there. They're down low.
Right.
But they're not up in the ceiling.
Huh.
I used to have spiders up in the ceiling.
Interesting.
You should try this with bees.
Well, I don't know. How will the bees react?
What are you going to do to the bee? Why would you do that to the bees?
Well,
you don't want them to fly away.
You
do
don't want. There's certain hornets will attack bees and try to steal from them. They'll gang up on them and kill them.
All right.
The bees will, but I don't know. I don't want to go playing around with the colors inside the hive and confuse the bees and drive them out.
What color is inside your hive now? Just natural wood?
So yeah, all the interior of the hive is all natural wood. Yes.
So a lot
Exterior.
of people, like I see them over, like at a park near here, they're all painted crazy colors. Is that any significance?
Well, so if you've got a lot of hives together, it helps the bees orientate to theirs home. And so some people do it for that reason. Some people just do it because it's fun. Yeah.
Speaking of that, just reminded me, I've got a hornet's nest at the end of the house that I cut down.
Yeah.
It was way out on a branch, so I cut the branch and then I ran. And
This is one of these big...
big paper hornet's nest. And because I've decided I don't want to kill anything.
Okay.
Like, the hornet has a reason for being.
Right.
But now I've got to figure out how to get the long limb and the hornet's nest somewhere else. Like, it's cut, but it's hanging.
I'd do it after dark, whatever you do with it.
Would you do it? Personally? You're a beekeeper. You should be able to.
I don't know a thing about hornets other than they really hurt when they sting.
Yeah, well, I'm not a fan.
I've
of
got a bee
hornets.
suit I could put on and go.
I actually thought about that one day when I was doing the first time I ran away from it. After I cut it, I was like, maybe I should call Scott in his bee suit.
What would? So if I pick up this branch, is it small enough that I could carry?
Yeah, it's about the size of a small one of those icebox watermelons.
Yeah, I'm talking about the branch it's on.
Oh yeah, no, it's a thin branch. Yeah,
Well, where are we going to take it?
I'm just going to take it to another part of the yard.
Another neighbors? You don't throw it across the fence?
Take it to the neighbor's house.
Take it to the city park. No,
Well, I just thought maybe I'd put it further down in the woods back then.
that's a better idea.
Yeah.
I do that.
Okay. Maybe we have a side TDSR project.
Yeah, I think we.
What color is your bee suit?
It's white. It's a little bit off white.
What if your bee suits were blue?
Yeah.
Haint blue.
So I've seen pink.
Okay.
I've never seen blue that I can think of. You want to avoid black, but yeah, I guess
Why would you avoid black?
apparently they don't like. I don't know. I've always heard bees don't wear dark colors when you're working the bees. I don't really know more than that. So
Interesting.
So the color you picked out for your porch, was it called Haint Blue?
No, this wasn't particularly Haint blue.
Yeah.
It was just a blue. It was almost like your shirt.
Okay.
And I can post up the color, but there is a definite hex number associated with Haint blue. I don't know if you realize this, but the green that we used on our TSR podcast, right?
Yeah.
It's 06752E. That's the color green. That's our brand for That Don't Sound Right podcast.
We highly researched this color before we chose it.
I don't have the hex number memorized for Haint blue, but there is a hex number. I've seen it.
Really?
So if you wanted to go to a paint shop and say, I want Haint blue, you just give them that number. They can...
Does every color have a hex?
Yeah, sure does.
Really? Because I've noticed now, like with cars, people are able to color match a lot better than they used to.
Well, I imagine the other part of that is just the optical technology to be able to see what color you got and being able to match it better.
So in my profession, we match ink colors.
Okay.
And we are a lot better at it than we used to be because of colorimeters. You can take readings and you can get the match to... We always reference the LAB values, which are the... It's like a three-dimensional color base.
Okay.
So there's light and dark, and there's tint, and there's hue, and different things. Can't tell you technically how it works, but you can read that, and you get a delta E of below 2, and you probably can't tell the difference.
All right.
But you're dealing with a lot of branded products, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got to have the color scheme.
Yeah.
You gotta get that right.
You got to get it
We
dead
gotta get
on.
it right, yeah.
Yeah. Or they get upset.
Or they yell at me. They call me at night.
Y'all probably have color schemes too for Volvo.
Oh, sure.
Oh yeah, we do.
Do you have patented colors
I don't think we have
or
it.
registered colors?
Have you considered a Haint Blue truck?
There you go.
Yeah, well, let me tell you something. Our first van was a blue color, and it wasn't Haint Blue, but it was another light blue, and I really really liked that color.
Was it ever
doesn't show scratches. It doesn't show dirt. The paint that was fading, you can barely tell, and it always just looked sharp in the sunlight.
Did it repel accidents?
The car was never in an accident.
See there?
There you go.
Okay.
But there were plenty of bugs on the front of the hood.
Oh, so they
Doesn't work. Now, there was no scientific proof that this blue actually does repel the spiders or the hornets.
They did
or
a
the
test?
wasps. Evidently, there's been someone's done some experiments, and I don't know.
Just means they haven't
But
found it yet.
I don't think, because I mean, my own experience is it works. Now, what the reason they think it did work wasn't necessarily because of the color blue, is because of the paint that was used. They used this milk paint that had a lot of lye in it,
Oh, yeah.
and lye is a bug repellent.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Well, maybe fresh paint just keeps the spiders away for a while.
Yeah.
I'm a good 4 or 5 years into this blue porch.
He's got a study going
He's
on.
been studying this
I'm
for a
loving
long
it.
time
I'm
before he
loving
brought it to
it.
the
Oh, yeah.
podcast. Good job.
I love it. I love this color blue.
So what was it that doesn't sound right about the Haint Blue? It was just that people believe this?
The fact that there's a color that you can paint your ceiling and spiders won't build nest in it.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, think about how many spider webs you have to knock down every year around your house.
Well,
why don't we paint the eaves of the house blue? Think about all the spiders you would knock down the eaves of your house, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just painted the eaves
So I'll tell you,
blue, would that repel spiders? I'm halfway tempted to try it.
based on the popularity of spiders in my house, I'm expecting every ceiling is going to be blue before long. They are not popular creatures. in my house.
Not my house either. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We should try it.
That's probably cheaper than hiring the exterminator.
Just do one.
They're not popular, but they are populous.
I've noticed that, like, our exterminator, when he comes down,
Yeah.
they do a lot of sweeping for spiders. I don't remember that as a kid. I remember
really?
people come spraying, but, like, sweeping for spiders is like a thing now.
I've talked to my my exterminator about this, and his claim is that the chemicals that they use today, or maybe they used to use, but definitely today, just don't do it on spiders. They just don't help with spiders. You can't. It doesn't really repel spiders. Doesn't. You mean they could probably kill them, but it doesn't repel them. And yeah, our guy does the same thing. He comes there, sweeps all the spiders, but he doesn't come into my porch.
Well,
So
you don't have to
think,
anymore.
Don't even think that that's what's going on.
Yeah.
It's the blue.
They're getting swept. I've gotten where I can't. I know this is going to sound weird, but I've gotten we had a groundhog out in the yard,
Yeah.
and so I have a groundhog trap, and it's a
live
terrible
trap?
device. No. Well, I'm sorry, it's not a trap.
Wait.
Yeah, let me rephrase. Let me rephrase.
Furry, cute groundhog.
Dead.
Vicious killer hornets.
Yeah. All right, wait. So it's not a trap. It's more like a guillotine.
I've seen this
Yeah,
thing.
and so what you do is you find the groundhog trail and you mash it down.
Is it really a groundhog or is it
Or
a
a mole.
mole?
I mean, it could be a mole.
Okay,
Mole.
there's
So it's not a groundhog. It's
Okay,
not,
that's
it's-
okay.
there's
Big-
something in the yard.
big difference.
There's a big difference. That's
Okay.
right. This is a mole. So you mash down the mole trail. And if it digs it back up, then you know where it's at. You know, and you try to get the one that's got a terminus.
Right.
And so then you go to that terminus and you push this thing down into the dirt.
Yeah.
And then you set it.
Yeah.
And then if the mole crawls across it, these spikes go down to the ground.
6 spikes.
Yeah,
go
6
in there.
spikes and kill it.
They don't work.
No, not very well. But I was out there. We have another one this year. It could be the same one that I haven't killed for years. But I got in the trap and I was walking around there. I was like, why am I really trying to kill this thing? I was like, it's just doing what it does. And so I decided I was not going to kill it.
Okay.
In fact, it actually may be helping my yard.
Well, you're getting some free aeration.
Right.
From underneath.
That's what I started saying. So then the hornet thing came up. And I was like, I just don't think I'm going to kill the hornets either. So that's when but I don't like a hornet. That's when I cut the hornets down, but I have not moved it yet. But
So when the hornets dropped, what happened?
He ran.
You were running.
yeah, I was already back to the other end of the house.
Okay.
Because hornets are hunters. They will memorize you, and they could be outside right now waiting for me. Yeah, I don't like hornets. I got stung by a Japanese hornet when I was a kid, and that put me off hornets forever.
So, how'd you know it was a Japanese hornet?
Well, Japanese hornets, the amount of knowledge that we dispense on this show, it just really can't be quantified, can it?
Again, you grew up in Cary. Don't be telling me you know what a Japanese hornet is.
Japanese hornet are these really big hornets, and they sting and they bite at the same time.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And so that leaves a distinct mark on your arm. You can see like teeth marks and a stinger.
You bring up a good point. That I got stung by whatever this was at night, and nobody saw what it was. But my foot swelled. I had to go to the doctor. Man, my foot really swelled up. It turned out, and there were two places. There was the sting, and then there was the. So I was always told it was Japanese hornet. That is what I have continued to believe until this year.
In true, that don't sound right. Form. I have a shred of a memory that either what people call Japanese hornets are not Japanese hornets, but really a European hornet, or the complete opposite of that. So I don't know which it is.
The Japanese hornet that gets called a European hornet?
So what happened was I had a hornet found dead outside of the bee. Okay. Right on the porch there, if you will. I took a picture of it and I sent it to a friend of ours who's a bug guy. Okay. And I said, "What is?"
Oh yeah,
you know the friend. And I said, "What is this?" And he came back and told me what kind of hornet it was. Well, I mentioned at the beekeeping meeting to somebody that I had.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
The beekeeping meeting?
Well, there's a beekeeping club.
Really?
Yeah. It's one of the largest in the state. That meets right here in Winston-Salem.
All right, finish your story.
Okay.
We need to come back to the beekeeping.
All right, fine. And I was complimented on calling it by the right name and not the name that most people call it.
Right. Did you reveal that you knew an entomologist at this point, or did you just?
I did.
Okay.
That's when I revealed it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Because I can't even remember now which is right, but I think it's a European hornet that people call Japanese hornets. But
yeah, I always call it Japanese hornet. And since that night when I was stung and bitten.
Well, that's allegedly. I don't know if I've ever heard that before.
Yeah. That they bite?
The bite instinct?
Yeah, they bite.
That just seems like too much.
They're mean.
Well, they are mean. I believe that.
Yeah. So the beekeeping meeting. What happens at a bee? This is one of the largest in the state?
Yes.
And do you have like a president, vice president, and treasurer?
Yes, we have all those.
And everybody gets together?
We get together, we eat food. It's potluck.
Honey related?
Not necessarily, no.
Okay.
No. And then we...
but you do have honey. People do bring honey, I'm sure.
Sometimes.
Really?
Yeah, there's people have...
That's kind of showing off.
It's a little on the nose.
I don't want to show off.
So are you going to bring honey to the people who already have their honey?
Right. I guess we had like a chicken raising club, and then you brought eggs, and then everybody be like, I got plenty of eggs.
Now, the mushroom club has mushroom-themed meals.
All right, okay.
Mushroom club. Oh, we do know somebody that collects mushrooms. That's right. Yeah.
I've been to one of their clubs meetings. Well, the bees, then they have their usually really short business meeting, and then they
business meeting.
You're on fire tonight, Cecil.
Let's go back to episode 94. This is another bit.
It is. It's 100% a business.
Tip your waitresses. Here all night.
I'll be here all night, guys. This is just a small sample of what you're going to get at the Brewers.
Don't use all your material here.
So, all right. So you have a I'm going to call it a business meeting. A business meeting. So, but that's club business, right?
Yeah, then we have a speaker.
Dues, okay.
Yeah,
And then you have a speaker,
Yeah. Expert on a field.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Sometimes from internal, sometimes they come from as far away as,
Asheville.
Mount Pilot or something.
Yeah,
or Raleigh.
I didn't know that y'all had a whole beekeeping club.
You can come.
We're absolutely going.
I'm wearing a blue shirt and see what happens.
Yeah. And there's also a mushroom club.
Yeah, I don't know when they meet. I just went to one of theirs.
That sounds like it could be all kinds of stuff. A mushroom.
At both of those clubs, you find a very interesting cross section of people.
I can imagine,
because you can have old geezers in overalls sitting beside, people in their 20s with
suburban
red hair.
mom, right?
Yeah, and by the suburban moms and the pudgy guys.
Guys that are coming just to see.
Yeah.
Now it makes me wonder what kind of other clubs we have in Winston that we're missing out on.
I wonder if there's a podcasting club.
Is there a podcasting club?
I wonder.
We should start a podcasting club.
We could start it.
Second Saturday night of the month.
Dude, I hear the dues are high.
Well, there are those online podcasting clubs like we've been a part of. And so what you do is you post your podcast, and supposedly if you're a good podcasting club member, you listen to the other people's podcast, and it kind of helps your numbers.
I'm not convinced I've gotten any numbers.
Yeah,
have you ever listened to other people's?
No.
I have not.
Well, you don't deserve it.
I have to listen to ours several times. It's enough podcasting for me. Like by the time we record it and edit it,
I don't even remember what tonight's topic. Oh,
Haint Blue.
Haint Blue.
Sorry, I forgot.
That's where all this started. So you have your words of wisdom, I guess. Actually, we do have words of wisdom.
I think it's. I think you should paint your porches at a minimum, and maybe your sunrooms, the ceilings, paint them Haint Blue.
So would this be like a Carolina blue?
It is kind of like that, but it's a little. It's a little more blue. It has a little more blue to it.
The radio audience can't see my shirt.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, it's kind of like a Carolina. It's like a sky blue.
Sky blue. Okay.
It's more like a sky blue, but it's one of those when the skies are kind of really deep blue.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would encourage you whenever you're walking around the West End. I think you'll see some Haint Blue porches.
So what at your house is painted this color currently?
What's that?
What at your house is painted?
My sunroom in the back, where the annex.
Right. I don't know if I've noticed that.
You probably haven't noticed it because you felt like you were outside.
Yeah, I did.
And then our side.
Wait.
Our side porch, and you've been in there too.
The annex is closed in, isn't it?
Yeah,
it is. Yeah, it is closed in.
And you have spiders in there.
I have spiders in all my rooms.
I'm never going back to the annex.
Yeah. And then I've got the side porch off the kitchen, which is not closed in. It's just it's all screens.
Spider free though.
It is spider free.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
When's the next beekeeping meeting?
It's the first Saturday of every month. So Saturday.
First Saturday month. That's coming up.
We missed
it. No, that's this Saturday.
Up, yeah.
All right. Well, it doesn't sound right, but you've come to the end of another. That don't sound right. I feel like we've fully explored this topic tonight.
I feel like I'm going to go home and my wife will say, "What was the podcast about?" I won't be able to tell her.
You'll say, "Wait for 2 weeks." Hey, so before we close, we want to thank everyone for listening. This is your first time and enjoyed the conversation. Would you consider hitting the subscribe button in your app? Also, consider giving us a rating or a review.
We also have a advertiser. Wonderfully Made Designs is a small business specializing in custom-made T-shirts. Probably can even do that blue color for you. T-shirts and decals. Contact Casey on Facebook at Wonderfully Made Designs at 139.14.
And again, the numbers really do matter on this. Don't just type in Wonderfully Made Designs. Be sure to do the numbers, and the numbers are
Wonderfully Made Designs 139.14. Use code TDSR10 for 10% off your first order.
And if you want a decal in Haint Blue, ask her for hex number D1EAEB. That's your hex number for Haint Blue.
Really?
Yep.
And what's our hex number?
06752E.
You've got it memorized.
I have that one memorized because I have to change it every week.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you change? Oh, on the website.
The website.
On the website. I didn't know you could do that.
Mm-hmm.
we're going to get into some search engine optimization next.
That's
if we're
next
down to the pixel level and color,
we got to get next.
Scott, thank you for coming back to the studio 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
That traveling, I know is.
We're not turning my expense report.
You can turn that into the brand ambassador.
Okay, I will do.
Have the brand ambassador take you out to lunch. All right, That Don't Sound Right is a production of TDSR Podcast in conjunction with Camel City Studios. I am your co-host and sound engineer, Cecil. Peter is your other host and the web designer. Our barista is Camille. Emily is our graphic designer. Elle is in charge of our Instagram. Giorgio tests our merchandise. Our international brand ambassador is Brent. And as always, listener number one is
Scott.
So until next week, keep talking.
And stay curious.